back to the channel, welcome to another video. It's that time of the weekend, it's Premier League predictions time. The video, of course, where I talk about, analyse and, of course, predict how I think each and every single game in the upcoming round of Premier League fixtures will turn out this weekend. Massive games from top to bottom of the current Premier League table, and I can't wait to dive straight in to the predictions. But before getting to all of that, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you are new. Both things are always and very greatly appreciated. Get involved in the comment section as well. Let me know what your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, everything like that are for this upcoming round of Premier League fixtures. Mainly, of course, your predictions, because this is, after all, people, a Premier League predictions video, and where would this video be without predictions? So please do get involved, use and abuse that comment section down below, people, and talk to me on how you think this upcoming weekend of Premier League action will go. Right, now that that's out of the way and done with, let's get on with the video. Let's talk Premier League predictions. Let's get into them, and we're starting off with Friday night's game between Brighton and Southampton. Yes, we have a Friday night fixture this week, so fantasy football managers, get your teams in order for the kickoff on Friday between the Seagulls and the Saints. And as you can see, I've gone with a 3-1 victory in favour of Brighton. Now, this is obviously not a foregone conclusion, but let's face it, form and everything else dictates that Brighton will get the victory here. They're in very good form. They're coming up against a struggling Southampton side that could take a lot of positives from their 3-2 defeat against Liverpool last weekend. But let's face it, Brighton are flying high right now. The Seagulls are flying. And they're in extremely good form. I think better form than what a lot of people would have imagined at the beginning of the season. Playing some really good stuff. Scoring a lot of goals. Yes, there are some defensive frailties there that I think Southampton can take advantage of if they make the right decisions in the final third, which is why I think they will get a goal and stop Brighton from getting a clean sheet. But make no mistake about it, Brighton are flying. They're in really good form, and that is why I see Brighton winning this game by 3-1. Moving on. One of Saturday's lunchtime kickoffs will see Brentford take on Leicester. And I've gone with 1-1 here. Now, my head at the beginning was saying, go with a Brentford win. Brentford have too much firepower in the final third. And when they turn it on, we know Brentford can be difficult to stop. But this is the Leicester side that this week are going for a change. There's a dawning of a new era at Leicester, following the sacking of Steve Cooper at the weekend. So, the new manager bounce, the players with the bit between their teeth, the players with something to prove in this game could offer a bit of a thorn in the side of a Brentford side that, if this was still under Steve Cooper, would have been looking at this as maybe 3 points. I would still probably go for Brentford if I had to stick my neck out on the line and predict a winner, but I'm calling it down the middle purely based on new manager who hasn't been announced yet, but it's going to be an interim manager, new manager coming in, players are going to want to impress, so they're going to have the bit between their teeth. So that's why I've gone with the points to be shared between Brentford and Leicester. Moving on to Crystal Palace against Newcastle. I've gone with a 2-1 win to Newcastle. Palace, of course, picked up a decent point last weekend against Aston Villa. Newcastle will want to fight back and bounce back from that pretty poor defeat against West Ham on Monday night. Wasn't for the lack of trying Newcastle's defeat. They just couldn't stick the ball into the back of the net. Their decision-making in the final third had a lot left to be desired. I can't imagine they'll make that mistake again. Palace obviously can be difficult opposition on their day. We know that at home they can be difficult to play against. But I'm going with the firepower and the strength and depth in the attack that Newcastle have. Yes, they have some defensive frailties and they're not exactly at 100% full strength when it comes to their defensive options. But I still would back Newcastle to get the win, bounce back, and heap more pressure onto Crystal Palace and Oliver Glasner in this game. Alexander Isak to be back amongst the score sheet as well is my personal prediction this weekend. Moving on, Nottingham Forest take on Ipswich at the City Ground. Forest looking to bounce back from that pretty poor defeat against Arsenal last weekend, losing by 3-0. Ipswich, of course, drew 1-1 with Manchester United last time we saw them. Ruben Amorim, Manchester United, a new era at Manchester United. Ipswich went there and managed to hold them to a draw. I'm intrigued by this one. I can definitely see Ipswich getting something out of this game. They've proven very difficult to beat at certain stages of this season. They've got quite a few draws under their belt as well. They need to turn some of them draws into wins, admittedly. But I'm intrigued by this one in the sense that Ipswich can definitely get something from this game. Now, I am backing Forest to get the win. I am backing Forest to get back to winning ways after what has been back-to-back defeats for Nuno Espirito Santo's side after what had been a brilliant season so far for Forest, a season that has seemingly exceeded everybody's expectations. But I wouldn't back against Ipswich to not get something in this. So, whilst I can see a draw maybe happening, maybe a 2-2, I'm going with Forest just to edge this one. So, Forest to win this one. I think Chris Wood being back and starting will obviously be a big benefit to Forest. I think he'll obviously get back on the score sheet. And I think there are signs from both teams that this could be a favourable fixture for them. So, as good as what Forest have been so far this season, this is a potential banana skin for them, even though I would make them the favourites and actually predict that they will go on and win the game. But it's not a foregone conclusion by a stretch of the imagination. Let's just put it that way. Moving on, we're at Molineux next for Wolverhampton Wanderers taking on Bournemouth, and I've gone with a 1-1 draw. Now, Wolves' season has really come to life in the past few weeks. They've picked up a couple of very good wins. They've managed to finally kickstart their season, and the likes of Matheus Cunha in particular is enduring a very good season so far during this campaign. Bournemouth have hit a bit of a slippery slope in the past few weeks. They've had some really good results beyond that point, but in the past few weeks, just haven't quite been able to match them level of results going forward. Now, it would be... I wouldn't argue against Wolves picking up a win here, going off form, but this is the kind of game in which Bournemouth can certainly bounce back in, or at least stop the rot somewhat. So that's why I have gone with a draw here. Wolves, we know, can play some nice football at times. Sometimes it's left to be desired, the finishing of their chances that they create, and they can often sometimes make some really poor defensive errors that lead to stupid goals being conceded. And I think this one's going to be a little bit like that. I think it's going to be the good, the bad, and the ugly from both sets of teams, and that's why I have gone with a draw. Arguably, Wolves probably are the favourites, only just, but I think a draw is certainly what I'm going to be going for in this game. Moving onwards, Saturday's evening fixture, we'll see West Ham against Arsenal. A big London derby, this one, between Julian Lopetegui's side going head-to-head with Mikel Arteta's side. And I've gone with an Arsenal 3-0 win. Now, there are signs that Arsenal are just about finding their groove again after what had been a very big dip in form by the standards of Arsenal in recent years. Arsenal last weekend got back to winning ways against Nottingham Forest. They went in the Champions League to Sporting Lisbon away from home and absolutely destroyed them. I say it wouldn't be out the realms of possibility for Arsenal to absolutely destroy a West Ham side that are in need of points. Julian Lopetegui's side beat Newcastle on Monday night. It eased some of the pressure on their new manager, but I think that pressure will be back on them this weekend when Arsenal travel or make the short distance to West Ham, to the London Stadium, and I personally believe Arsenal will control the game and destroy them systematically to the point where Arsenal are leaving that game having scored a few goals, aided their goal difference a little bit more, got a clean sheet to boot, and also, more importantly, will take the 3 points to kind of put a little bit of pressure on the likes of Liverpool and Manchester City going into this weekend. So, I see it being a big win for Arsenal, a big London derby triumph for Mikel Arteta. I think the Return of Martin Odegaard has been vital for them. It's hard to say whether they're somewhat of a one-man team in the attacking third, but it certainly does help to have a puppet master and pulling the strings in that Arsenal attack, being the main creative influence the way that Odegaard has been for the past couple of years. Arsenal to get this game done and dusted is what I personally think will happen when these two sides clash on Saturday evening. Next, moving on to the Sunday games, and first up we have got Chelsea against Aston Villa, and I've gone with a 3-1 win to Chelsea. Now, Villa have somewhat fallen off in recent weeks, and I think Champions League action may have something to do with it. Their Champions League record so far this season has been okay, but it's been about their performances in the Premier League after those Champions League games that have left a lot to be desired. And that's where I think Chelsea can take advantage. Chelsea are in action themselves midweek in the Europa Conference League, but let's face it, they've rested some of their key players from that competition, likes of Cole Palmer not included in their squad. So they're able to keep things fresh, keep things ticking over, shall we say, in terms of their big and key players. And that's just basically a bit of a run out for them, a bit of a training session at times for Chelsea in that regard. When it comes to that competition so far, it's been a breeze for them so far, as you probably would expect. But the fact of the matter is that when it comes to Premier League action, Chelsea are in fine form. They're flying high. They are scoring plenty of goals. They're controlling games. They're learning each and every single week to get better under Enzo Maresca in the hot seat at Stamford Bridge. And I think this is going to be another continuation of that. Defensively, yes, they have frailties. Yes, there are moments in that Chelsea defence where you have to question what they are doing back there, but it's all a bit of a learning curve for them. And I feel like those defensive frailties can be something that Aston Villa can pinpoint and maybe try and exploit. It's not going to be an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. Ollie Watkins in good form. I expect Villa to score a goal at some point, but I think defensively and maybe in the middle of the park, I think Aston Villa could get overrun. Aston Villa could get overloaded in that area, and Chelsea will go on to control the game and win from that point forward. Chelsea to get a few goals here. It's like Cole Palmer to be back on the score sheet. Nicholas Jackson to continue his fine start to the season as well. The Blues to get 3 points and to continue to put pressure on the teams that are in and around and, of course, above them as well. So, Chelsea to get 3 points at Stamford Bridge against Aston Villa this weekend is my prediction there. Moving on to Old Trafford, where Manchester United will be hosting Everton, a Premier League classic of sorts, this one, and I've gone with a 2-1 win to Manchester United. Now, of course, this again isn't a foregone conclusion. The Ruben Amorim era continues at Manchester United, and of course they will have midweek Europa League action to also factor into this performance, which could play into the hands of Everton. But I think, again, individual performances, individual moments may just get Man United across the finish line in this one. Everton, we know, can be dangerous at times. They can be really up for a physical battle when they want to be. And of course, on the counter-attack, they can be dangerous, as well as from obviously set pieces, which they will obviously look to damage Manchester United with. But I just think that another week under Ruben Amorim's management and coaching, another week of moments from Manchester United that could obviously help them win the game. Maybe even carrying momentum on from the Europa League game, which hasn't kicked off. Like at the time of recording, we are obviously a day away from United's Europa League game. So maybe if they win that game, they can continue that momentum on into the next one. I don't know. But we obviously saw an incredible game when these two teams have met in the past. Last season, of course, this one is the game, I believe, that threw up that incredible Garnacho overhead kick. So this game is full of moments, and I will expect more moments to be created in this one, as well as another chapter awaits to be played out before our very eyes at Old Trafford between these two teams. I'm going with United to win, but only just. It's not out of the realms of possibility for Everton to get something from this game, and ahead of what's going to be a busy and big week for the Merseyside club, as well as obviously battling relegation, they are going to be in certain need of points as well. So, big week for Everton, big times ahead for the Toffees, and obviously a dawning of a new era continuing at Manchester United as well. So, I'm looking forward to this one, actually. Really am looking forward to this one and seeing how this one plays out. Another game to be kicking off on Sunday is Tottenham against Fulham. Tottenham, of course, still flying high from the absolute battering that they gave Manchester City last weekend. Fulham, of course, looking to get back to winning ways from the battering that they received against Wolverhampton Wanderers last weekend as well. Now, we've been here before with Spurs. We've been here talking about how Spurs are on the verge or the cusp of something great. They've just gone and they've got a very good result elsewhere, only to then let it be for nothing by losing the following week to a, with all due respect, lesser side. You would not be a fool, and I would not argue with you if you were to say that Fulham win this game. After the battering Tottenham gave Manchester City last week, you would not be wrong if you were to consider that Fulham win this game. I would not put it against you or anybody else that has that belief that Fulham will get the win in this one. However, I'm still backing Tottenham anyway, and I'm still kind of expecting Spurs to let me down. Spurs were incredible last weekend. From back to front, from front to back, they were incredible. I think the injury to Vicario could be huge. Fraser Forster will probably start in goal. I'm sure they could probably find a better goalkeeper with no hands and no arms, but there you have it. Fraser Forster will probably be in goal. So that could be an incentive for Fulham to maybe go in for the kill a little bit more, especially from set pieces. Not that Vicario was great himself from set pieces, but that could be an area for Fulham to definitely exploit, as well as obviously I imagine the higher line that Spurs will probably play in this one. I think last week we saw Postecoglou adapt to Manchester City. I think this week he might revert back to type with a high line. That certainly Fulham can exploit. The likes of Emil Smith-Rowe, I'm sure, may have a field day with that high line should he use his creative influence effectively. But of course, we know how Spurs are going to play. We know that Spurs are going to be on the front foot, dominate possession. They know that they're going to be very, very difficult and tricky to stop when they get rolling, if they can obviously carry the momentum from their previous game forward. Again, Spurs are in Europa League action this week, so maybe that is another factor to consider for this game. So there's a lot to consider for this one. And like I say, Spurs being Spurs, you wouldn't put it out the realms of possibility for them to win, but you also wouldn't put out the realms of possibility for them to produce another shocking and poor performance that will see Fulham go on to redeem themselves from last week and get back to winning ways. I've gone with Tottenham to win. I think they've got the informed players, particularly in the final third. I think they will create the better of the opportunities and the chances, and I think that they will take a couple of them at the very least as well. So I've gone with a 2-1 win to Spurs. And again, another intriguing game awaits us for our Sunday afternoon viewing. And finally, in what I believe to be the biggest game of this round of fixtures, the main event of this round of Premier League action, we're at Anfield for Liverpool against Manchester City. And as you can see, I've gone with a 3-1 win to Liverpool. Now, we have the big opportunity here to extend Manchester City's winless run. They couldn't even get the job done midweek against Feyenoord in the Champions League to get back to winning ways, despite being 3-0 up with like 15 minutes to go or whatever it was. Man City crumbled in that game and drew 3-3. City are weak. City are vulnerable. City are in a state of disarray and chaos. Now, I'm hoping that that state will continue into this Sunday. I'm hoping that by some miracle, Pep Guardiola hasn't found his magic wand to sort out these problems. I'm hoping that Manchester City suddenly don't remember of how to play football, how to control games, how to attack, how to score, how to defend. I'm praying and I'm hoping that City don't just magically remember, just because it's Liverpool, how to play football. But what I am hoping for is that we don't show them no respect. We don't show them any sort of kindness. I hope we go there on Sunday at Anfield. We welcome them to Anfield and then we absolutely destroy them. I am hoping that that's the case. Lay down a statement, win the game, and then go 11 points clear of Pep Guardiola's side. We go there on Sunday, we lay down a statement, we win this game, that will send shockwaves, and that will make me then believe that we are going to go on and win the league this season. I truly believe that if we win on Sunday, I will say that. I will say that I believe we will win this season. I know it's only in November going into December. It'll be December on Sunday. Right at the beginning of December. But even so, I will still state that remark. We need to smell blood on Sunday and we need to go in for the kill. This City side are weakened. They are struggling to control games. They are struggling to find leadership. Their midfield is being run through like a hot knife through butter. Their defence is full of errors and vulnerability. Their attack, whilst it's still creating chances, and whilst I would expect City to still create chances against Liverpool, isn't exactly firing on all cylinders right now. I need this Liverpool team to show no respect to Manchester City and to absolutely dominate from start to finish. And I'm sure the Anfield crowd is going to be up for this one. I'm sure the Anfield crowd themselves will be smelling blood, but I need the players to as well. I need no respect shown to City until the end of the game. I need Liverpool to absolutely batter Manchester City from pillar to post. Because this will be the only and best opportunity we'll have of doing that. This will be our best opportunity of doing that. We definitely need that to happen. And hell, if Spurs can score 4 goals against this City side last week, yes, we should be aiming for more. But I'm more interested in just getting a win by any means necessary, by hook or by crook. But at the same time, this will be the best opportunity we have of facing a weakened and vulnerable Manchester City side that are down on their luck, not won a single game in all competitions in the last 6. They're on a winless run, and we can help extend that to incredible numbers to the point where City's title race could potentially be over in December. It potentially could. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it will definitely be. But there will be a lot of talk about City's title race being over in December if Liverpool can get the job done on Sunday afternoon. It could potentially be the final nail in the coffin for Manchester City on Sunday. And I've gone with a 3-1 win to the Reds. I'm hoping that the form of the likes of Mohamed Salah will continue. I assume Kelleher will probably remain in goal. I don't think it'll be right to drop him for Alisson when he's in this kind of good form. I'm hoping that Van Dijk and Konate will continue their imperious run together at the back. I'm hoping the midfield will still remain strong. Gravenberch in there, maybe the return of Alexis McAllister as well. Szoboszlai in there, or Curtis Jones, whichever one he decides to go for, making runs from deep from midfield to break the lines of the City midfield and defence. And of course, Luis Diaz on the left. I assume he will be back, or it could be Cody Gakpo, depending on which one he goes for. Personally, with the vulnerability of Kyle Walker right now, I'd go with Luis Diaz to absolutely tear him apart. And of course, Darwin Núñez as well, who we know can be hit and miss, but when he's more hit than miss, we know he can be a threat and he can be a danger. So, fingers crossed, Liverpool batter City on Sunday. And there you have it. Those are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of all the games that are coming up in this weekend's round of Premier League action? Let me know what you guys are thinking and feeling. Your thoughts, comments, opinions. But most of all, of course, your predictions will make for great and interesting reading down below in that comment section. So please do get involved, people. Talk to me on this. Where would a predictions video be without your predictions, people? That is what I want to know, but I want to know your predictions more. So please do get involved, talk to me, use and abuse that comment section at your will. Also, don't forget to hit the like button on the way out if you haven't already and you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always incredibly greatly appreciated. And, of course, thank you all so much for watching and listening. Thank you all so much for your brand new or even continued support to me and the channel. It is very much appreciated. You guys are awesome. Thank you all so much for that. I've been Fletch. This has been another Premier League predictions video, and I will see you and speak to you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Speak to you all again very, very soon.